The underlying philosophy of America is the Luciferian doctrine. The system is based on it. Businesses are built on it, and they make money partially because of the culture that is a result of the Luciferian doctrine and all the compatible philosophies. When you really look at what they're trying to do and what philosophies are compatible, you know, it's compatible with the Luciferian doctrine. You can even be a Christian and have them leave you alone if your version of Christianity is compatible with the Luciferian doctrine. If you're a moderate Christian who accepts Luciferian reason uh, as the justifications, as the logic behind your lifestyle decision, the way you live your life. So when you look at this case of David and Goliath, it was purely the spirit. Goliath was this big, strong brute. Part of the reason why he was described as tall and not just big is because they wanted to put in your mind that this guy's this huge brute, and he thinks that being the greatest warrior is a result of being strong and putting on armor and things like this. And then David just quickly defeated him because being the greatest warrior is really about, uh, having the spirit of God with you and being the closest to God. And that goes back to Igbo culture, when you talk about the Ikenga and the Chi. If your Chi and your Ikenga, are in line with your ambitions and your motivations for combat, then you're more successful. And I've seen it in my training where I'm in this righteous state of mind and it lines up and I'm more successful executing these lightning fast moves. And that's part of the reason why they can't move as fast as I can. Part of the reason why they're going to hide and they're going to fabricate evidence and bullshit and use their network, to make people seem good and to prop up bootlickers. No doubt, just keep in mind that these people love performance enhancing drugs, especially white people, far right white people. Do any of you doubt, for example, that skinheads are notorious for dealing in meth? Meth by itself is a performance enhancing drug. Do any of you doubt that the Nazis were trying to create a super soldier and that carried on into skinhead culture as well with the modern pharmaceuticals and the street drugs that we have now? Do any of you doubt these things? So therefore, it is insane to say, hey, some white guy in the future comes along and does something amazing, right? And he sees he has, he's a Luciferian. It's pretty safe to say he, he was helped by his network and was fucking using some kind of performance enhancing drug or technology. You see what I'm saying? Versus this black guy who's being gang stalked, who everyone hates, who lives with his mom, who doesn't have anyone training him and pointed that out. And on and on and on, right? He makes this challenge for 5 years, and in the future, going into 2018, we're going to have new performance enhancing drugs. There's going to be new ways to cheat, new technologies, and the people, in secret societies that have a monopoly on technologies, okay, and are the guys who come out with the cutting edge pharmaceuticals. They're the pioneers of the different Luciferian businesses and sciences, right? These guys, of course, are going to come up with some way to fake it, and you have to understand that. Part of you understanding who truly proved their point is understanding their philosophies and whose philosophy makes them a liar and who doesn't. It reminds me of the part in the labyrinth where they say one of us always lies and one of us always tells the truth. And that is absolutely the case, the idea at least. In essence, I come from the spirit of the being that always tells the truth. And they come from the spirit of the being that always lies. Because they have to either lie completely. The devil either lies completely or mixes the lie with the truth. Practice is what makes perfect. And that is why the devil is the great deceiver. Because he practices lying. Just like these devils every day, right? Part of what makes them good at being liars. Cops lying to people's faces and lying in investigations. Part of their job includes lying. And it's the same with politicians and military officers, right? Whether or not it's written down, it's the unspoken qualification, being a liar. And they come from secret societies that whose entire culture and their lives and their positions in society are built on lies. It's a Luciferian society. Inspire you to be jealous of something in this world, money, women, something, preferably not worth being jealous over or not worth stressing over, right? If you're a deep spiritual being, or if you see things like a man of God, or you're a virtuous being, right? Get them to be jealous over a woman, some shallow gold digging, fancy dress bitch. Get them to be jealous over money, a job position, a respect in the community, something of this world, right? Or at least mixed with this world. And then get them to resort to petty shit, to lying, to cheating, to murder, to, that is the satanic path. That is the path that leads to the darkness. And it goes back to paganism. This is not necessarily a Christian concept or exclusively Christian. This goes back to paganism, where you had different paths and temples and people who went to those temples more than other temples, or just exclusively went to those temples, right? That was the only temples they went to. Okay? That was their lifestyle. These are the people whose philosophy is they're jealous. They come from a long tradition of people who were jealous and used that to motivate them to be successful. What they wanted of this world, what they were jealous that other people have. In some way, they'll even frame it in a nice way. I want that nice home and that nice family, and oh, they look so happy. Oh, yeah, that's part of it too. It might not be the worst thing in the world to be jealous of, but make no mistake, it has to do with being jealous of something in this world and the resulting inferior form of life it creates. When that's where your heart is, when that's where your mind is, then that's where your soul is. That's why Jesus was saying things like, if you lust in your heart, you have sinned already. They want you to live in the spirit of jealousy and petty materialism. So if a martial arts challenge is based on the philosophies of this world, it is petty. It is, you may as well, we may as well be fucking, flying kites. We may as well be playing cards. Because it's based on the game of life and the philosophies therein, and not the truth, not reality. Martial arts has to be based on the reality of the spiritual realm. He who is the top martial artist in Babylon's system is the top martial artist the Babylonian way, which includes deception and lying as part of the means people use to become that. He who is the top martial artist when it comes to my challenge is pure spirit, And the people who say, well, it's because, he's more, he's taller, or, this, that, or the other thing, right? What are they focusing on, right? Obviously someone didn't listen when they said mind over matter, right? Well, martial arts isn't supposed to believe in mind over matter. But here you are saying, I can't do this because of matter. Not what David said. Not what Benaiah said. So no matter how you slice it, my challenge is the challenge of the martial arts spirit. Okay, when Goliath challenged them, Goliath said, I defy the armies of Israel. I defy you and your God. This wasn't a Christian making this argument. They didn't exist yet. This was a pagan making the typical pagan argument of the time. This wasn't exclusive to this battle. This wasn't just for this situation. This is how you proved it. And of course, as they went to the armor, because Goliath was wearing scale armor, like a snake. He said, using my snake materialistic philosophy, that's why they went out of their way to describe what he was wearing, to say this is this big brute with armor, and he's a knucklehead. Okay, and it was a precision strike that took him down, be it from a fucking fist, you know, or from a fucking stone, a pebble. And it was the Spirit of God that perfected the nature of that form of warfare. The grace perfecting nature, and down goes the inferior martial artist.